This is one of those videos that is, I guess, you could almost describe it as a hidden gem. Not that it is, totally phenomenal, but the fact that this is a creator who has 46 subscribers, 12 videos, and hasn't posted anything for a year. I think had she persevered with her channel, she could have made something of it because her thumbnails look appealing. And I think from looking at this, her content was reasonable. So I don't know if she just expected it to go big straight away and gave up on it after 12 videos, or if she just decided she couldn't be bothered, or what the story is here. But I would have liked to have seen what would have happened with this channel had she continued. Anyway, let's move on to the actual video that we're talking about today. So her video is 8 things different in Australia. Now she does mention where she's from. I think it's Ukraine or somewhere like that. So she has a slightly different accent to what we are used to. And of course I can't help wondering if in terms of YouTube algorithms, if perhaps that's why she was struggling a bit with her channel, because I've found that YouTube definitely prefers American channels. Now that said, if you are new to my channel, please subscribe. I would really like to see this channel continue and see this channel take off. And at the moment, it's in a bit of a lull. So I'd love to get some more subscribers. And if you do like my content, I'm also hoping you will hit the like button, because that helps get my videos seen by more people. Likewise, leaving comments is always greatly appreciated, because that also gets my channel seen by more people. So let's jump into this video and see what this creator believes are 8 different things, or 8 things that are different in Australia.
Hey guys! So for today's video, I thought it would be really interesting to talk about the things that I found a little bit different and maybe a bit weird here in Australia. So I've been living here for a little bit over 3 weeks, I think. So I think I'm already able to, point out a few things that I noticed that are at least different from the things I know and the things I'm used to in Portugal. So yeah, let's just get started.
Okay, Portugal. I was way off there. Sorry for that. I have to say, I actually like her accent. Maybe it's just me, but I do quite like her accent.
So I'm going to be talking about 8 things. And the first one is people asking how I am. So I had heard of it before, that people in Australia are more, friendly, if I can put it like that, when it comes to customer service, but it's different and kind of funny when you actually experience it. On one of my first days here in Australia, I went to the supermarket and I went to pay for the things I bought, and the lady that was there scanning the items, the products, just asked me as if she knew me. Hey, how are you? I didn't even know how to answer. It's just so weird. I'm so not used to be treated like that. She was really enthusiastic. And then I answered, yeah, I'm okay, you? And then she just started, this whole conversation. Oh yeah, I've had better days actually. So today it's been a long shift. I'm quite tired, but I'm going for a break soon. I mean, maybe it's just me, because I'm not used to have this small talk in the supermarket. I'm pretty sure that she doesn't really care how I am, and vice versa, actually. I mean, I don't mean to be rude, but you know what I mean? Sometimes I don't really feel like having this whole conversation and I just want to pay for my stuff and go. But yeah, maybe I will get used to it eventually.
See, I think for most of us, it would feel rude if we actually got to check out somewhere and we weren't given that greeting as of hi, how you going? Because that's just the norm here in Australia. It's just part of social etiquette. So I can I find it amusing that she's so weirded out by it because for us it's just everyday stuff. And I know some people, when they get that, their response is usually, yeah, I'm fine, thanks. I do like to actually acknowledge the person that's asking me that and ask them, and what about you? The local supermarket near me, there's a few staff there that I've got to know on a kind of a superficial basis. So now I can ask, well, how's your daughter going at school now? Yada, yada, yada. Brief conversations that while you're going through the whole transaction and putting your groceries through, you can have a conversation. You can make them feel like a human being. Um, that said, if I'm in a hurry somewhere and someone's like, hi, how you going? I'm like, oh, good, thanks. And I won't try and engage in further conversation. But I guess that's something that you learn as an Australian. You learn when to take it further and when not to. But it's just so fascinating listening to someone from overseas and seeing their reaction to it.
So the next thing I would like to talk about are the trains. Not the trains specifically, but the seats on the trains. Maybe this thing exists somewhere else, in the world. But at least in Portugal, it's not like this. I'm not from a big city, so maybe it exists and I didn't know about it. But at least I haven't seen it in Portugal. And I'm talking about the backs of the seats. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to explain it. I will just leave a small clip. Basically, the backs of the seats move according to where you want to sit. So if you want to sit facing the direction that the train is going, you can just, adjust the back. But yeah, so I found it really interesting and funny. When I first saw it, I was like, oh, they just move the seat. And it's actually quite handy. It's really smart, actually.
Okay, well, now I'm curious. I've never actually noticed if the metro trains here in Victoria do that. Obviously, the regional trains don't. They're a little bit different. The seats are very different on the regional trains. But the metro trains, all the trains around the city area, the seats look similar to what she just showed there in that clip. So I wonder if they can be moved like that also. Something I'm going to have to ask about and find out.
So the next thing I want to talk about are the light switches. At least I think it's how it's called. Anyway, so the light switch, so you can turn the light on and off. They are really, really small. I'm not really sure if in Portugal they are all the same, but at least I've been in several places in Portugal. I think they all look the same there, and they are just this quite big square, so I think it's just easier to switch the button. And yeah, here I just find it a little bit harder, to turn it on and off. For example, if you are carrying something, with both hands when you are walking into the room and you just want to do it with your elbow or just, with your arm, or if it's dark in the room and you just try to find the light switch. And I think it's just easier to just hit it randomly and the light turns on. And here you just have to be really, like specific and go there with your finger to the exact spot. It's just something that it's different for me. And yeah, I just found it a little bit weird, like why did I make it so small?
Okay, this is the second video that I've done a reaction to where someone has complained about our light switches being too small. Really? Maybe Australians just have better fine motor skills than other people in the world. Because I've never encountered any issues over the size of light switches. If I'm carrying something into a room, then unless I've just come into the house, then surely I would have switched the light on in the room beforehand anyway. If you're going to be moving stuff around in your house just randomly at night time, wouldn't you switch the light switch on first? And as for if you are just coming home, well, if you know you're coming home in the dark, generally you do leave a light on. I've never had a problem with having difficulties with turning on a light. So it's just a ridiculous comment.
Anyway, next thing that I have on the list is the shower. So I don't think this happens all over Australia. Maybe it's just in the older buildings, but in the apartment I was living before, the shower was really low. Really low. I couldn't be, standing straight. So in order to take a shower, I had to kind of, flex my legs and lower myself, a little bit. So basically I had to take a shower doing squats at the same time. And I'm just wondering why, I was just there taking my shower and just wondering, why is this so low, and it's not even detachable. And sometimes I even hit my head. It was not a really pleasant experience, but I mean, it is what it is, at least I took a shower, I guess. So yeah. But anyway, I was just wondering how many buildings have the showers like this, that low, because I'm not even that tall. I'm probably on the tall side for a girl. I am 176, but still there are lots of Australians who are taller than me. I mean, come on, how is that even possible? The shower was just like this, so only a really short person could take a shower comfortably without hitting their head there or just having the shower, right above their heads. So I don't know, I just found it really curious and a little bit weird, to be honest, but in my new place where I'm staying at right now, it's actually a normal shower, so it's from, the water falls from the ceiling. So yeah, maybe it's just in the older buildings, like I said before.
Okay, so what I would love to see when it comes to people who've come to Australia and are doing these comparison videos is them actually doing a little bit of research. So she says here that the shower in where she's at now is normal. So she's thinking, well, maybe this is just in older buildings. Well, clearly she hasn't asked anyone, is this a normal thing? Because any Australian would tell her, no, don't know what's going on with that dumbass shower where you first stayed, because that is so far from normal and that is not what you are likely to see in the majority of Australian homes. Probably it was someone's attempt at a home renovation, or who knows why it was done that way.
So the fifth thing that I would like to talk about are the windows. So as all of you know, here in Australia There are a lot of insects, a lot of spiders, a lot of, small animals. And actually, I'm really, really glad that these ones exist. And they are just windows with nets. So we have, kind of two layers. So the first window is just the regular window with the glass, and then on the outside there's another window only with the net, without the glass. So, and actually I can't really complain about that one, because thank God thank God that those exist here, because God forbid you find any, spider inside my room. I know that I would probably most likely see spiders here, but I was hoping that they could stay away from my room. Just please stay away from my room. So that's something that I really appreciate that they do here in Australia, and probably we should have the same in Portugal, because we do have spiders, we do have insects, they do come inside our homes. So yeah.
So if she's still living in Australia, she's probably figured out by now that fly screens don't stop spiders from getting inside your home. I've got plenty of spiders in my house here, and I've got fly screens all around. They still find those itty bitty gaps that allow them to get into your home. I find it interesting that, from what I can tell, because this has come up in a few videos, that it's only Australia that uses fly screens on their windows, because it is just so essential here. Surely we're not the only country that has issues with flies and mosquitoes and stuff like that.
So the next thing are carpets. I noticed that here in Australia, carpets are really, really common. In Portugal, I don't think we use carpets at all. I mean, I've lived in Portugal for over 20 years, and I can't recall seeing a single carpet. So, and by carpet, I mean, the whole floor is covered with this carpet. In Portugal, we use these, not tiles, but I believe the word is mosaics, something like that. I'm pretty sure I'm pronouncing it wrong, but hopefully you know what I mean. I will just leave a picture, it's just easier. So I believe most of the houses in Portugal use those. I know that the new buildings already have wooden floors, but definitely not carpets. The apartment I was staying before was all covered in carpets except for the bathroom. And while I was looking for a place to stay, rooms or studios, I saw so many places with those carpets. And I found it so funny. It can be quite nice, especially when it's cold. I think it's nicer, it's more pleasant to walk on the carpet, but I think it's probably so hard to clean it properly. All the dust and the particles and all the dirt that, that falls on it. I don't know, I feel like it's so harder to clean, or for example, if you spill some coffee or a drink, something, sauce on the carpet, I don't know, you just have to, rub it, and then it has to dry completely. I don't know.
Now, I think Portugal's climate wouldn't be that dissimilar to Sydney. Maybe perhaps a little bit more Mediterranean, perhaps. But I know that wouldn't be a reason for the different use of floor coverings. And clearly what she's talking about is mosaic tiles. So I wonder if it's just a cultural thing. Maybe the cost of carpet production there is more expensive or something, so it is a more expensive thing. Maybe in terms of mosaic tiles, maybe that is just, there are more industries there, so that is the cheaper way of doing it. Or maybe even it's a more sort of more dusty kind of place, so tiles are more practical. it's interesting that they don't have carpets. I found it kind of, well, amusing and interesting that she was like, well, how do you keep them clean? How do you get the dust up? So I'm wondering if she's aware of vacuum cleaners. Because if you have a house that's all tiles, then probably you just sweep and you wouldn't even need a vacuum cleaner. So perhaps she doesn't even know that vacuum cleaners exist. She probably wouldn't know of carpet cleaners. And of course, if she's not familiar with carpet, she's probably not familiar with how to properly clean stains or spills from carpets, which is something that, you grow up learning how to do because it's just something that's just part of the Australian existence, really.
The next thing is driving on the other side of the road. I know it's a really common thing to talk about, but I had to do it. I mean, because it's something that I'm really struggling with since I arrived. Because it's not just the cars, I'm not even driving here, so that doesn't affect me that much. But it's also when you walk on the street, you have to walk on the left side too. And I'm always almost bumping into people. The same on the escalator. I always have to try to, remind myself, because people are passing by who want to go, to climb it faster. It just passed by you on the right side. I really struggle with that. I mean, I'll get there. I'm sure I'll get there. And also, when I have to cross the street, I just can't get it right. I never know which side to look at first. I mean, because sometimes we cross one lane at a time, so we cross the first lane and then we stand in the middle of the street to wait to cross the second lane. No, I have to look to the right side first, because if I look to the left and if I start crossing it, I might get run over or hit. I don't know, it's just confusing. For now, I just try to look at both sides. I think it's just the easier thing to do.
I've actually heard a lot of people say that in terms of driving in Australia, they've adjusted pretty quickly, but when it comes to being a pedestrian, that they do have those problems of you're not accustomed to having to walk on the left side. I mean, it's something that we kind of just do naturally here in Australia, isn't it? When you're walking along the footpath, you do tend to go to the left of people who are going the other way. It's just what we do here. And the same with escalators. You just, you you just do it. You go to the left. Um, and I've heard a lot of instances of people who've come to Australia and they really struggle with this whole thing of crossing the road because they forget to look in the right direction, and just that adjustment to when you're crossing the road, you've actually got to look right, not left. So, yeah, I understand where she's coming from. And I think were she to drive, she would probably perhaps adjust to driving in Australia really quickly. Whereas it definitely sounds like from a lot of people that there is a bit of an adjustment period in terms of being a pedestrian in Australia and not getting run over.
And finally, the last thing I would like to talk to you guys about are the birds. So, here in Australia, I find them just noisier. I don't know, just louder. And they are also bigger than the birds in Portugal. I mean, of course, we have big birds in Portugal, but it's not that common to see them around, like flying or on the street. Every now and then you see a bigger bird, but it's not that common. And here, at least in Sydney, I'm not really sure if it's like this, all over Australia, but at least here in Sydney, there are some big birds. Some of them look like crows, and then there are these birds with this long and slightly curved beak, known for being next to the trash, just, you know, like looking for food. Here where I am at the moment, I don't hear them as much, but where I was staying before, oh my god, the birds were driving me crazy, seriously. And they were waking me up every single morning between 6 and 7 a.m. And seriously, I was going crazy.
Okay, it seems like the entire world is fascinated with our bin chickens. But, like, you get ibises other places in the world. Maybe it's just because they're not accustomed to seeing big birds like that in city areas, because that's what she was referring to there in terms of size. As for our birds being noisy, well, of course they're noisy. They're Australian. They're big mouths like us. But seriously, I don't think that many of us as Australians even notice the sounds of the birds around us a lot of the time, because it is such a constant thing. There are birds that start making noises outside my window early in the morning, and I pretty much sleep through it. I only hear them if I'm actually awake already. So I think it's something that she would no doubt adjust to if she's still in Australia. Who knows, because she hasn't done any videos for over a year now, or for a year. I haven't actually looked at the date on her last video, but it shows on her channel saying that the last video was a year ago, which can be anything from 12 months to 20 months, essentially. YouTube's not good at tracking that sort of thing. So that brings us to the end of her video. I won't worry about her outro. I'd be curious to know your thoughts on these things. I definitely would love to see people leaving comments below, because I'd love to see this channel getting seen by more people. I'd love to get more views on my videos, more subscribers. So you can help me with that by hitting the like button and leaving comments. So thanks for listening, and I'll catch you in the next one.